Hi, my name is Sandy, and I welcome you to the Old Time Patterns YouTube channel. This video is the first in a series about making historical garments, and this video is about making an 18th century bum pad to wear underneath an 18th century skirt or petticoat. I don't have a pattern for making this bum pad, but I'm going to show you how to make our own pattern and how to assemble the bum pad. So let's get started. In this video, I am going to make a bum roll for my 18th century jacket and caraco that you're going to be seeing soon. The only problem is I don't have a pattern for this bum roll, so I'm going to create my own. And in doing my research online, I ran across a really well done article in demodecouture.com, and I'm going to provide a link to that article in the description down below. And it describes all the different kinds of support garments, bum rolls, bum pads, different kinds of petticoats, all different kinds of options. And I chose option number 5. And when you look at the article, you're going to see that. It's basically a curved half moon with some quilted areas, and they're going to be stuffed. And so I'm going to get my measurements and start drawing out this pattern. What you're going to do is you want to measure how wide you are from side to side, and then you want to measure how thick you are from front to back. So I'm going to take those measurements and then we can get started drafting the pattern. Okay, so I've got my measurements, and I'm not going to tell you what they are because I'm quite embarrassed by it. But anyway, so I'm going to draw a straight line for my width, and then at the halfway point, I'm going to draw a straight line for my depth, so that the two intersect. So that's my center point, and now I'm just going to draw like an oval around these points to give me a general shape that I need to accommodate. I'm not a very good drawer. I'm not a good drawer at all. Okay, so that's me. And I'm going to need to add some more paper down here at the bottom, so excuse me while I do that. So I've got my paper ready. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 8 inches. A smaller ruler, so I'm not poking myself here. 8 inches on the back. So I'm going to make a mark for 8 inches on the back. And then a quarter of the way around, I'm going to do 6 inches. And this doesn't have to be an exact science. If you want to even, when you cut this out, you can do it as just a half. And then you would be cutting it on the fold, so that would make sure that it's the same size on both sides, and that's probably what I'm going to do anyway. On the side here, I want it to be 4 inches, and I'm going to go 4 inches past my side, so I have just a little bit coming around, and at that point, I'm going to take it down to 2 inches. But it's going to curve. It's going to curve right in at that point. So now I'm going to draw my lines together. Again, I'm a terrible drawer. past the 8. Okay. So there's my center. I'm going to go ahead and add my seam allowances in now. So that's like 1/2 inch. So you can just kind of draw it in. Again, it doesn't have to be an exact science as long as it's the same on both sides. It really doesn't matter. Half-inch seam allowance all the way around. And there's my center seam. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Alrighty, so there's half of my false rump, I think is what the technical term is for it. And I'm going to find some material to put it on. Okay, this will work. And I think my pins are downstairs. Okay, so I found my pins. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this to the fabric on the fold. The fold's over here by me. And cut it out, and then I will do a second one again on the fold because we need a front and a back to this. Okay, got the first one all pinned and I'm cutting it out. Okay, first piece is cut out and I'm pinning on for my second piece. Okay, all pinned on and ready to cut it out now. Okay, I have both pieces laid out and they're laying on top of each other, all lined up and ready to go. I'm going to pin around the outside edge because that's what we're going to sew first. So I'm going to pin and sew around the outside edge. Okay, all pinned together. Now I'm going to sew the outside seam. Okay, so I've got the two pieces sewn around the outside border, and I've drawn on all the lines where I want to do the quilting stitch. Again, this is not an exact science. You just want to try to make sure that it's the same on both sides. So I did 3 inches and 6 inches, 3 inches away at the top, 6 inches away at the bottom. This is my center line. I got that by folding it in half. And that one is not going to be quilted. We will stay away from that one. This is 5 inches at the top and 7 inches on the bottom. This is 3 inches at the top and 6 inches on the bottom. And this is 4 inches on the top and 6 inches on the bottom. And then we have this little spot on the end. Your measurements probably will be different because of course this has my measurements on the inside. So if you're a lot smaller than I am, then your measurements are going to be a lot different. But again, it's not an exact science. Just try and make sure that it's the same on both sides so it's even. Okay, I've got all my quilting lines sewn. And right in the middle of sewing these quilting channels, I realized that I had made the very first mistake of my very first video. Before I drew these lines on, I should have turned this inside out so that this seam would be on the inside. This doesn't matter for my project. I really don't care that this is out here, and you're not going to be able to see it underneath my clothes anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and continue since I've got this far. Otherwise I would have to rip all these quilting channels out. So next we're going to do the stuffing. Okay, so this that I'm showing you is a bum roll that I ordered off of Etsy, and it's not that it's a bad design. Obviously the waist is or the hips, the inside area that my body is supposed to fit in is way too small. This is a good design. Just for me, it didn't work because it's so thick and it added so much to my hips that my clothes actually looked kind of funny. So I just need a little bit of help with my hip area. I don't need it totally redone. So that's why I'm designing my own false rump. And because this is the only stuffing that I have in the house right at the moment, I am going to actually tear this apart so I can use the stuffing out of it for my own. Well, that was an interesting project. I realized when I tore the old bum roll apart that it wasn't actually stuffed with polyester fiberfill, which I was expecting. It's actually stuffed with pieces of quilt batting and scrap fabric, which is actually a really good idea. So if any of you think you might be making a bum roll in the future, start saving your scrap fabric so you can have something to stuff it with. Okay, so I've got this all stuffed. It's not terribly stuffed. Again, I just need a little help with my hip area. I don't need a total redo because I already have quite a bit of hip. So I'm going to take some twill tape and pin it along this inner edge, and that'll be my waistband, and I'm going to leave some strips off the end so that I have enough to tie it with. Okay, that ended up being very difficult, trying to hold it closed and put the twill tape on folded over the seam at the same time. So I've just pinned the edges together, and I'm going to go ahead and run that through the machine, and then I'm going to put the twill tape on in a second step. Okay, I've got the twill tape pinned on. I did it, you know, half and half, half on the front, half on the back, kind of like a bias binding, and I left approximately 1.5 feet on the ends so that I'll be able to tie this when this is done. So I'm going to run this through the sewing machine and this project will be complete. Yay! Okay, I've got the twill tape all sewed on and I've got my ends here. So this project is done. And it took less than 2 hours to do the whole project. So that was pretty awesome. So I'm going to put it on real quick, and my husband's going to take some pictures so you can see what it looks like when it's on me. Okay, so here's the finished piece. Front view, side view, and back view. So again, this project took less than 2 hours, and I think it turned out pretty good, with the exception of the one mistake I made, and it's really not that important. You'll get to see what this looks like underneath my skirt real soon. That's the next project. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up to like it, and please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you click on the bell, you'll be notified when future videos come out. Until next time, happy sewing!